Arrow functions are a modern, more concise way to write JavaScript functions. They simplify your code, reduce noise, and behave more predictably in callbacks, especially when it comes to this. If you're still using the old function keyword for everything, it's time to upgrade. Classic versus Arrow. Here's the old way. Let's take a look at the traditional way of writing a function in JavaScript. We start with the function keyword. That's how all functions were defined before ES6. Next is the function name, in this case, greet. You can name it anything, but it should describe what the function does. Inside the parentheses, we list the parameters. This function takes a single one, name. Then we open up the curly braces. Everything inside is the function body. We use the return keyword to specify what the function sends back. In this case, it returns a string that says hello plus whatever name we passed in. This format is totally valid and still useful when you need a more traditional structure or access to things like this or arguments. By the way, this refers to the object that's currently executing the function. In classic functions, this can change depending on how the function is called, which matters a lot when you're working with methods in objects or in the browser. With arrow functions, this is locked to the scope where the function was created, which is why they're great for callbacks, but not for object methods or constructors. Here's the cleaner, modern version. Less code, more clarity. And if you're returning a value directly, you don't even need curly braces or the return keyword. Let's break this line down. We're creating a function called greet. Instead of using the function keyword, we're assigning it to a variable using const next. Name is the parameter, just one, so we don't need parentheses. Then comes the arrow, which tells JavaScript, this is a function. Finally, the part after the arrow is the return value, and since it's a one-liner, it's returned automatically. In this case, we're returning a string that says hello, followed by whatever name is passed in. Short, clean, and readable. That's the power of an arrow function. Key differences. Arrow functions do not bind their own this. They inherit it from the surrounding scope. Work great for callbacks, event handlers, and array methods. Cannot be used as constructors. Don't have their own arguments object. Real-world example, React. This comes up all the time in frameworks like React. In frameworks like React, arrow functions are everywhere, especially in event handlers. Here, we've got a button. When it's clicked, it runs this inline arrow function. This function doesn't take any parameters, so we use empty parentheses. Inside, we call handleBy and pass in the product's ID. This works perfectly because arrow functions don't have their own this. They just use whatever scope they were written in, which avoids all the classic headaches around binding. It's one line, it's clean, and it's easy to read. Arrow functions are perfect when working with arrays. You get clean, readable logic in a single line. No boilerplate. This is one of the most common modern JavaScript patterns. Filtering and mapping data using arrow functions. We start with data, which is an array of user objects. .filter, u, arrow function, returning u.active. Loops through the array and keeps only the users where active is true. Then .map, u, arrow function, returning u.name. Takes those active users and transforms them into an array of just their names. Each arrow function here is short and focused. It keeps the logic in line and easy to follow. This kind of chaining is where arrow functions really shine, especially in functional style code. When to use arrow functions. Use arrow functions when you don't need your own this context. The function is short, often inline. you want more readable, modern code. Stick with regular functions when you need your own this, arguments, or super, and when you're writing constructors. That's the modern approach to functions in JavaScript. Up next in Essential JavaScript Features Episode 2, Destructuring. A simple feature that lets you pull values from objects like a pro.